My name is Hillary Bacon. This is the Leadership in Social Work course. My video project is on leadership in the military. Hi, my name is Hillary. I'm doing my project on leadership in the military. The military is something I'm very passionate about because my father is in the military. He is Lieutenant Colonel Bacon, and so he's become a lieutenant colonel over spending over 25 years in the military, and it's something that's directly affected my family a whole lot and just how we have lived, how I've grown up. He spent a tour for 14 months in Iraq. He was at Balad Air Force Base, is where he was stationed. Um, I'm passionate about the military, and I think I see my dad as a great leader, and I think that his leadership qualities that he's passed down to me are going to make me a good social worker, because leadership in social work is obviously really, really important, just as it is in the military as well. So I'm going to talk about some of those aspects of leadership in the military, how they are parallel with aspects of leadership in social work. And hopefully, we're going to watch some about some soldiers, get their take on it. And I also interviewed my dad a little bit, so we're going to look at that as well. I really hope you enjoy. There are so many aspects of leadership that can be discussed when it comes to social work or leadership in the military. To determine the ones that I wanted to talk about today, I asked my dad. I called him and I just said, if you were to give me um, the top several things that you learned, about what being a leader was like when you've been in the military over the course of your years spent serving, what would you say? And he said, well, let me think about it. I'll get back to you. So he thought about it. He sent me an email with his answers, and I'm going to read to you all in just a minute some of what he shared with me, and we're going to draw those conclusions, like to see where they line up with being a leader in the field of social work. So we're going to look at that in just one second. And the first thing that he said was ambition in the military, according to my dad's description, was a desire to achieve something visible and noteworthy, and that it pushes leaders and their companies to strive to reach their potential. He said, leaders need a healthy dose of it to push themselves and others, but at times, especially in the military, ambition can be blind. That's when you see leaders making flashy decisions and accusations that are unsound or unsettling or inappropriate, and aren't shooting towards, the end goal with whatever it is they're trying to accomplish. He said that overambitiousness combined with a lack of integrity can lead to corruption in the military, and I think in social work as well. I think as far as being ambitious in the field of social work, it really ties into just setting goals. I think it also goes along with just remembering what makes you passionate about social work and improving the lives of others in the first place. For me personally, it's personal experiences that I've been through that make me want to help others in those same situations. So I think it's really interesting what my dad said, about ambition in the military. I think being ambitious in the field of social work is super, super important. I think it's a field and a career path where people can easily get discouraged. So, being ambitious is really important. Setting those goals is really, really important. So, I think that ambition ties into the military and social work in those ways for sure. The next thing that I want to discuss is self confidence. And this was one that my dad brought up, and I thought it was specifically really, really interesting what he said. He talked about how you have to be able to listen to your own inner voice and endure, lonely moments when an important decision falls on your shoulders, especially serving in the military and especially serving overseas. He talked about how you have to be able to speak your mind and act decisively, knowing that you can withstand the consequences no matter what they may be. Um, he said it's not a matter of acting tough, but it's having a tough, inner core. Conquering underlying fears and insecurities can be just as detrimental, to you in your career as excessive self-confidence. So he said, those are both really important. I think self-confidence is huge as far as pursuing a career in social work. Something that I've noticed just being in the social work program. When people ask me what my major is, and I tell them, I'm a social work major, I get really negative comments, negative feedback from people, talking about how, oh, do you want to be poor the rest of your life? Just really negative. And while those comments are unasked for, you do have to respond to those. So I possess a certain level of self-confidence just in my abilities in this field, and just in the promise that with this education I can make a change. So I think it ties hand in hand, with what my dad said. You have the self-confidence that you have to possess to be in the military and to do a good job in the military, to make decisions. I think it goes hand in hand with making decisions. In social work, you have to be confident that you are dealing with your clients in the best way possible, that you are, counseling them in the best way possible, that you are brokering them, in the best way possible. You just have to be confident in yourself that you're doing a good job. You have to trust your own decisions. You have to trust your inner voice. You have to trust yourself. You have to be confident in what you can do. You can consult with other coworkers. You can, in the military, you can consult with other soldiers, but there are going to be times when it's going to be up to you. So it's definitely important to be confident in yourself. And something I tell those people when they say, oh, do you want to be poor the rest of your life? I just say, well, I love this career. I'm confident in it and I believe in it. So psychological openness is another aspect of leadership that my dad discussed when talking about the military, and that I can definitely draw a parallel with in social work as well. When my dad talked about psychological openness, he just talked about the willingness to allow yourself to be influenced by other people, other officers, those around you, and to share your ideas openly. Um, and being psychologically closed, he discussed, can cause problems, especially when you are deployed overseas, when you're in crisis situations, when you're in leadership positions, when you're trying to make important decisions, but, somebody else may have more extensive knowledge than you on that subject. He said openness permeates their system, and, being closed-minded does exactly the opposite. When I think about psychological openness in social work, I think about being psychologically open to your patients, or, to your clients. I think about being open to new perspectives, different obstacles than you may have had before in your life yourself. I think of psychological openness to other coworkers. Somebody, like I said before, someone who may have had or may have more extensive knowledge than you on a certain, situation, on a certain client situation. I think being closed-minded in social work, I don't think you can be a closed-minded social worker. I guess anybody can be a social worker, but I don't think that a closed-minded person is going to be a good social worker at all. So I think having that open mind is absolutely detrimental to your practice, to honing your skills as a social worker. I like to view myself as a pretty solidly open-minded person. I think in social work, we learned a lot in class about just, for lack of a better term, walking in someone else's shoes. And I think if you're closed-minded, that's just not something you can force yourself to do. So, being a leader requires being psychologically open-minded and understanding that you might not always know the answer. So being able to consult with clients and consult with coworkers, I think, is a really, really important aspect of leadership in social work. The last aspect that I'm going to talk about is just an appetite for learning, an appetite for knowledge. When I talked to my dad and interviewed him some, he just talked about how important that is for a leader, and you wouldn't think necessarily that an appetite for learning would be a trait of a leader. You would think more that that would be a trait of the people that were being led. But, we discussed how that was something that a good leader needs to have, an appetite for learning, because leaders, they need to seek out new experiences and learn from those and learn from other people. And I think that's a huge, huge thing in the military and in social work, because you can learn from people who know more than you. Also, my dad talked about how, yes, he is a lieutenant colonel, and that's awesome. He has a really high rank, but there are people who are ranked higher than he is. And, it's really important to humble yourself, to learn from those people and to be able to take constructive criticism, take suggestions, and I think the same goes for social work, especially when you're working with a client situation that you might not have worked with before. I think it's important to humble yourself, have an appetite for learning, go to colleagues, lean on them, ask advice, and learn from those around you. So throughout the course of this video, we have discussed ambition in the military and its role in social work. We have discussed psychological openness. We have discussed an appetite for learning. I hope you all really enjoyed my video. I chose to do the military because it was something I was very passionate about, and I think I chose the right thing for sure. I could talk about it for days. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and good luck to all of us future social workers out there. Thank you.